What's up, chums? Sharky here, and welcome back to the Shark Bites podcast. Oh yeah, Kalani's here too.
I am here.
Oh yeah, I forgot we do small talk at the beginning of these. We kind of already did our small talk though.
Well, now we get to inform them about the small talk.
The small talk was my headset is broken and Kalani got a VR headset,
Woo.
and that was pretty much it.
I finally joined the rest of society.
Actually, I've heard a lot of people are getting rid of theirs because they don't want it anymore.
Lame.
Like, it was kind of a cool new thing in 2020, and now everybody's like, and we can go outside again. Who cares?
Outside. I
Who
got VR.
needs outside when you got VR? I was actually talking to a friend of mine about that. My friend Max. We were talking about like how during 2020, like all of the furries were on VR chat, and now there's like nobody. They're all having like in-person meets and stuff and cons again.
You in person.
Ew.
Who wants to see people in person?
It's so cringy meeting people in person.
I mean, people.
Not much else is going on with me. I've been really busy at work, but I always say that, so nothing's
I mean,
changed.
I've acquired an iPad.
Oh yeah.
It was a Christmas gift from my family, and my husband got me an amazing case for it.
Are you starting to like it more than the old tablet?
I
The
don't touch my old one anymore.
That's see that was me too. Like once I got an iPad, I just stopped using my other one.
It's so nice. I can
Yeah.
actually do digital painting, and I'm slightly good at it.
Yeah. I love my iPad. Like it's expensive, but I feel like it's worth it if you're an artist.
Mm, Now I just need people to commission me.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough out there lately. I haven't had any for weeks now.
I haven't had any for years.
That's so sad.
I know. My art's not that bad.
I commissioned you
I know. I mean, like
to
other commissions.
draw something really stupid.
Hey, it's a specialty.
For those of you wondering, I commissioned Kalani to draw an OnlyFans version of Carlisle Cullen from Twilight. Because we had a discussion like who of the Cullen clan would have an OnlyFans.
I just popped into chat confused, and next thing I know, I have been volunteered to draw it.
Yeah, I was like, congratulations, you get to draw this because you dropped it on this conversation.
I should fear coming to chat.
I mean, I always do when somebody, like, if I see somebody posted, I get nervous. I'm like, oh Lord, what now? Because you know, Ree's posts be pretty crazy sometimes.
Gary. See, and I'm nice to you guys. I don't send you guys
Traumatizing
horrifying,
images.
creepy. Exactly. See, I'm the nice one.
Well, I guess we should get into the topic for today.
I mean, if we have to.
I mean, so our topic is actually kind of two things. I wanted to talk about the D.A.R.E program, which is something that me and Kalani both went through, and pretty much like anybody our age who was in public school went through it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I'm
that raises the question, is that even a thing anymore? Like, are kids in school, like, not subjected to it? Because if
I
so, I demand that they be traumatized by this program too.
I don't think so, but there might be like some really watered down versions of it now. I don't know.
It, that was the weirdest week of school.
Yeah. So my first memory of it, I remember thinking even when I was a kid, I was like, I'm too young to even know where to get this stuff from. Like, I don't know. They start them young.
Yeah, okay, how old were you when it started for you?
I guess we should explain what it is first in case people don't know.
Oh god, you're making me feel old already.
Well, I have people from other countries listening too that might not know. But
Fair enough.
okay, so the D.A.R.E program was like an anti drug and alcohol campaign that I think was led by like police departments. I mean, it was mostly a government thing, but
It
like,
was like a government program, but it was like done through the police forces where they would come in
mhm.
and basically just be like, "Don't do drugs. You'll ruin your life.
Yeah, and
Don't do it."
they would show us like PSA videos and stuff.
And all I remember from it is just the stupid little ribbon we would have during the week.
Mhm.
And it was almost like a second spirit week because they would just do like funny stuff at the school.
My earliest memory of being in the D.A.R.E program was when I was actually in first grade, I think. Either like first or second grade, which I always thought was like way too young for that, but whatever. I just remember like we would have an assembly in the morning in the gym before class, and like everybody and all the teachers would come into the gym, and they would show us a PSA of like the don't do drugs, say no, blah blah blah. And I want to say we even had like a giveaway thing. So like if you could answer a question, the cop would give you like a t-shirt or like a keychain or a pencil or something.
Mine probably had that too, but I don't think I probably looked at the shirt and was like, "That's stupid."
The only reason I remember that is because I won a t-shirt.
Now
um
here's the big question. Do you still have the t-shirt?
okay, no, but I had the shirt for a very long time, like to the point where it had holes in it. Um I gotta tell you what was on it though, because that's the funny part.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm sure everybody's seen like those like D.A.R.E logo shirts. That's not what this was. This one was different. It had like, now mind you, I was in first grade, okay, so I probably didn't even know what this was. But it was a white shirt, like all white, and it had a big can of chewing tobacco on the front of it.
What?
And I think it said something along the lines of like don't chew or something, and then underneath
Probably
it
like, "Don't chew drugs."
it was like don't,
Because they used to do the dumbest puns.
it used to say like don't chew tobacco, just say no or something like that, and then it had the D.A.R.E logo underneath it. And I wore the crap out of that shirt just because it was really comfortable, not really because of what was on it. But I remember bringing it home, and my parents were like, "What the heck? What?"
I don't
But
even think parents were aware of the program. Like, it just happened. They're like, "Oh,
well,
so this is what our kids are learning."
that's the thing. I don't think you could have opted out of it. I think it was just something that the school did, regardless.
Well, probably if you could opt out, parents wouldn't choose that because then the fear of society repercussions.
Well, and I was thinking, like, we're in second grade. Like, where are we going to get chewing tobacco from, except for parents, like really shitty parents, I guess. But I don't know. I didn't even know what chewing tobacco was at that age.
All I
But
know is at that age, all I wanted to do was go home, eat, have my favorite drink or whatever, like a can of Coke or have some chocolate milk and watch cartoons.
have some
No,
cocaine.
oh yeah, gotta get that cocaine.
mm. I mean, I just liked getting out of class early in the morning. That was nice.
True. This is just making me remember like something that happened at my high school.
Uh oh.
This is not associated with the D.A.R.E program. I want to
Okay.
be clear. But they had, I want to say I was a freshman or a sophomore. Now, my high school had this old part where they stuck like the band kids and then the two art classes
Mhm.
because, no one cared about that, you know,
Yeah.
at high school. So we went upstairs and we went into one of the rooms up there and they they had us in two different groups. I don't think they separated us by boys and girls, but they might have. And they're just like kind of being religious, but like they're walking that very fine line of it,
Mhm.
and being like, don't have sex.
Oh
Now,
no.
my very pregnant friend was sitting next to me, and they walked up there and was like, will you sign the paper to be a part of abstinence? I just remember her looking at her stomach and be like, you're joking, right?
Oh my gosh. That's embarrassing for them.
But I just remember that because they were like talking. It was very much like the whole if you have sex, you will die.
Yes.
And I'm just like,
I love that meme, by the
no.
way. I love that meme where, like, the
It,
classroom.
yeah, I think it was from like the 50s or whatever. It's
Oh, I
like,
thought it was like the
well, you
80s,
gotta
but
be,
still.
like, it's like, well, if I want to have sex before marriage, well, then you gotta be prepared to die.
Yeah.
It just makes me think of that movie Mean Girls.
I literally quote that meme all the time.
Nice.
And nobody in my family knows what I'm talking about except for like my sisters because they both seen the meme, but it's
It's
just
a good
funny.
meme.
It is. It's a high quality meme,
10
but
out of 10, high quality meme.
I don't really remember at my high school, like, I don't really remember them doing anything religious, but I do remember, like, there was a group of kids that would do prayer at the pole.
I think a lot of schools had that if you lived in a more religious area.
If y'all don't know what that is, it's basically where, like, I think it's like an after school Bible study group or whatever. They kind of lead it and they all go out to the flagpole and they, like, say a prayer before school starts.
Yeah, like the schools allowed it, and technically, I guess the right word's hosted it, but it wasn't officially a part of the school.
Yeah, and it wasn't required, like you didn't have to go. It was just for people who wanted to. But I did that one time and then I never went back.
10 out of 10, won't do this again.
Well, because it was just boring. Like they would just say a couple things and I was like, I want to go inside. It's cold. But I do remember like about the D.A.R.E program, getting back to that. I was in middle school, so I had it twice. I had it when I was like in first or second grade, and then we had it again when I was in sixth grade. And I remember sixth grade more because we had like a full blown graduation ceremony from it. And like,
Seriously?
yes, and like we all went in the gym and they had like rows of chairs and we were all wearing our D.A.R.E shirts and stuff.
That's so stupid.
I know. But like, so they would select people to read their essay. Let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. So they would have the whole like student body like write essays on like how they're going to live their life drug free and all this other stuff at middle school age, right? And then they would pick certain students to get up on a podium and read it to the rest of the class.
Oh my god.
Like in the gym in front of everybody. And it was like all age groups, like all grades and stuff.
That's so stupid.
I kid you not, we got out of class for like half a day that day because we were just
Mm,
reading essays.
okay, not quite as stupid. I mean, half a day out
Well,
of school.
I know, but I just remember too, like I had allergies around that time because it was like in the fall or whatever, and I was having a coughing fit in the back of the gym.
So the whole time this person's awkwardly reading something, you just hear
I
the whole
was
time.
It sounded like I was coughing up a lung. I felt bad because I was like trying to be quiet, but I just couldn't hold it. I had to keep going into the hallway to get a drink to like stop the tickle.
Mm-hmm.
And all my
That's,
teachers were looking at me like, "Is she okay? Like what's going on?
is she on the drugs?
Is she doing cocaine in the bathroom? Like what's going on?"
Hey, it's the only way to get through the D.A.R.E program.
I got to talk about the funniest part about the D.A.R.E program as a whole. I mean, you already know. I would say like most of my friends who are in the same like age group, probably grew up with their they all smoke.
Yeah,
like like at least half of them smoke weed or cigarettes or whatever or vape.
yeah.
And I mean, even myself, like I don't drink a lot, but every once in a while like I'll have something to drink.
But, well, the thing is, all they ever did was say, don't do drugs, just say no. Well, where's the
Exactly.
follow up?
Exactly. So I'd like to ask you what you personally think. Like, why do you think the D.A.R.E program failed as much as it did?
Well, you're getting kids only cared about not having class. They weren't going to pay attention to a bunch of cops or whoever coming in and just telling them, don't do drugs, just say no. This is bad. And the occasional, you know, where they might show, like, this is your lungs when you smoke type thing.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay. Like,
Well,
especially someone like me with, like, no attention span, I was off in La La Land.
how do you think it should have been handled? Like, if they were going to have a program.
I think they could have had people who I think it should be properly informed. You could have had cops there, but I think you should have had people who have actually been through this. Don't start it at elementary school age. Like
Yeah, I feel
maybe fifth grade, and that's like you know what I mean. Like I feel like fifth grade could be like the soonest.
absolutely. That was one thing that stuck out to me was like the earlier they started the D.A.R.E program, like they were just trying to use fear tactics to get kids to be afraid of it, but it's like that's not how you educate.
Yeah, because if anything, that's gonna make a kid be like, "I'll show you."
Yeah.
I feel like there should have been proper information. Don't use scare tactics. Don't be like, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs and smash the egg. Because either
Well,
the kids are going to try and prove you wrong or you're just going to traumatize some kids.
well, it clearly did not work.
No. But I mean, like, for those that it may have somewhat worked on, they're just traumatized and dealing with issues.
And
You
see,
know?
you know, just to like be a bit open about this, like my dad asked me one time, okay, so when my dad was my age, he used to drink a lot. which I guess, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I feel like that was more common back when he was growing up,
I
you
think
know?
so too, because like my dad used to, he wouldn't get drunk and stuff, but he would have his beers.
Yeah. Well, like my dad would just like he would just drink like all the time. He stopped when I was born, but like when he was my age, like he would try stuff all the time, not just drinking, but like he would try other stuff too. But he asked me one time, he was like, "Why do you feel like you don't do drugs? Like why did you never get into that?" And I told him because I think we had talked about the D.A.R.E program and stuff. And let me tell you, the D.A.R.E program had nothing to do with my decision not to do that stuff. It was more just like I just I don't want to feel bad, like cuz drinking gives me a headache. I learned
Hmm.
I have a lot of like medical stuff that if I did drugs would interfere. Like I have a lot of respiratory problems with like my sinuses and stuff, and I really don't want to smoke. Like that's not something I'm interested in. So D.A.R.E had nothing to do with it. It was mostly just like I don't want that for myself.
Now, see,
But
for me, I literally just never saw a point to it. Like I looked
yeah,
and I was like, so?
yeah. I don't think it was
Like,
as
okay,
big a deal.
like smoking. I was like, okay, why? So I can just be addicted to it and be coughing up my lungs later on, if not having cancer?
Well, and they tried
I
to
don't
say
see I don't see the trade-off.
D.A.R.E tried to say that like if you smoked that you would start trying other drugs. Like it was a gateway.
No,
But
it's not.
it's not. I'm here to tell you like it's just not true
The
because
closest it's gonna be to a gateway is if you hang out with people who are very open to trying stuff like that,
mhm.
that are smokers, and then they, are like, "Hey, I tried this. Why don't you try it?"
I think it just like
Like
you said
that's about the
depends.
closest.
It depends on the person because I've met people that are, they will try stuff that they've never had even though it's like really bad for you. But
Yeah,
like
like both my brothers, they smoke pot, and I'm just like, "No, thanks."
yeah, I've only been offered one time and it was by an ex high school friend of mine. And I mean, it wasn't even like hers, like her parents and her both smoked. And I was just like, no, I just don't really like the smell of it. And
Yeah, that's part of it.
I just,
It just like, why would you want to put something that smells that bad in your body?
I am interested in trying edibles. I haven't yet, but I'm
Yeah,
not
see, I
opposed
don't
to it.
mind edibles because I feel like with that you can get a more, which I could be completely wrong here, but I feel like you can get a more regulated amount in your
Yeah.
body compared to smoking.
Well, you absorb it differently. Like your body handles it differently.
Like you can have a gummy, like a gummy bear with X amount and you know how much is in it. Whereas when you smoke it, you could technically, it should be the same amount, but the way it affects you could be different.
hmm And I'm not trying to like encourage anybody. I just want to say that too, like a disclaimer. You have to know your limits and you have to know like your own body and how you handle stuff.
And I think something they should have done in the D.A.R.E program is if, because if someone's going to try something, they're going to try it, they should have someone they can contact or someone with them for safety,
hmm
and they should be in a safe place.
That is definitely true, and you bring up a good point because I remember like taking their tests where they would say like, "You're at a party. Steve brings a six pack. What do you do?" You remember that?
We never did that.
Oh my gosh, we did that, and I was just
Like
like,
I said, ours were like basically a glorified spirit week. Like we might have like pajama day, movie day, and then we'd have like a day or two where they talk to us, or like during part of that day they come in and talk.
we
But
had we
and
had
then
a
on the
full-on quiz.
see if we had to take any test for it, I've blocked it out.
I just remember like having to take this like questionnaire thing, and then if you got them all right or you answered what they wanted you to, you got like a sticker or something.
Yes, a sticker, the best thing ever.
But I just my thought process when I was reading that question, like you're at a party and your friend's friend Steve brings a 6 pack of beer and you're underage, like what do you do? I remember reading that and thinking, like, who the fuck is Steve and why am I at a party? Like I don't even go to parties.
Exactly. And for a kid like me, it's like I'm not invited to birthday parties. Like if we're thinking with the age we were then,
Yeah,
like
yeah, like
I'm like
nobody.
people don't invite me to birthday parties.
Well, and in middle school, I feel like most of the drug experimentation happens in high school, not in middle school. I mean, correct me if I'm
I
wrong.
feel like in middle school it's a matter of like what kind of group you're a part of.
Mhm.
Like if you're with the group that's like yeah, they're having parties or they're going out doing stuff all the time, they would be a little more prone, but the average person, it's like gonna be more high school.
Yeah, that's always what I thought. Because I knew a lot of kids in high school that smoked a lot of weed or drank alcohol or whatever, but not in middle school, really. Maybe like one or two people. But um, while I'm thinking about it, I unlocked a memory.
New
I
core memory.
Okay, so I know I just said like I never went to parties, which is true, except for when I got to college. Let me tell you the story. I don't think I've ever told you this before.
Oh, this will be interesting.
So, out of curiosity, I went to one college party one time just to see what it was like compared to like how everybody talks about college parties.
Like to compare it to the movies.
Yes. So I got invited to a Halloween party um, by my small group, which is like my church group. Now, hold on a second. Hold on a second. I know what you're thinking. It's a church group, then it's not a real college party, right? Wrong.
No, I ain't thinking that. I know the truth.
Okay, so I got invited by these college students that went to church with me, but they were not the party was not a church party. They just attended church with me. But like I didn't really know them all that well.
Hmm.
Um and it was a Halloween party and it was at somebody else's house and it luckily it wasn't that far away from my house, like it was only down the street or whatever, but they gave me a ride and we all drove together or whatever. So I walked in and like I had my barrel costume on. That's who I was dressed as
Hmm.
from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
And there was maybe like three other people that dressed up.
See, that's what I hate when it's like, oh, it's a costume party, and the person just wears a slutty dress and then puts on mouse ears.
I was probably the most dressed up person out of everybody because I had like my face painted and like my whole outfit and everything.
And it
Anyways,
makes you feel fucking awkward.
I knew absolutely nobody except for the ladies that had invited me. Everybody else was from SIU, and I didn't know like anybody. There was alcohol. There were people outside like smoking stuff, and I just felt very out of place.
I bet.
um, Also, another thing about college parties is like, you know how they always talk about there being a lot of sex and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
There was that going on at this
Oh,
party too. And
how
I
fun.
I mean, you could obviously tell that there were like people in the bedroom. Like you couldn't hear anything, but like cuz they had music going and stuff.
But like you knew.
You just knew, yeah, that people were going to the bedroom and stuff. But let's just say that I left within 15 minutes of entering the party because I did not want to be there any longer.
I don't blame you.
I literally walked in the door, like walked to the kitchen, like through the living room, went to the back where people were having a bonfire, walked back through the house, and then left.
It was like, nope, not gonna be a part of this.
And that was my one college party experience. It was boring, I didn't know anybody, and there was too much weird stuff going on.
Too much sex and alcohol.
Yeah. I'm not about that vibe. Like if you are like out there listening, if y'all are into that, whatever, like you do you, but like
Yeah, like cool. As long as you're being safe and responsible, you do you.
but I said that because like what you said where you were like, you know, if you're gonna do that stuff, you should be with people you trust because that's a safety concern.
Yeah, like if I was gonna try like some, I don't know, we've mentioned it already, cocaine.
Mhm.
If I was gonna try cocaine, I would have probably my brother since he's a paramedic there.
That's a
And
good
that
idea.
way if yeah, but if you don't have a paramedic for a brother, you have a friend who you know and can trust that if shit hits the fan, they can do CPR and they can call an ambulance. And they won't lie to the paramedics and be like, "Oh, I don't know what happened." They'll be like, "They were trying cocaine and this happened."
Mhm. I'll tell you one thing that I will never understand is people that go to bars with
Hmm.
strangers and get wasted.
And then go home with strangers.
Yes. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? That's how people get
Maybe
murdered.
maybe they should have attended the D.A.R.E program,
Maybe.
or
But
maybe they,
yeah,
or maybe that's what happens when you do the D.A.R.E program. You gotta
listen,
drink away the memories.
listen. I went to a bar twice, and it was with my dad, so I wasn't completely alone. But let me just say that going to a bar late at night and like you're sober, you see a lot of things that just skeeve you out, I guess is the best way to put
Oh,
it.
you have unlocked a memory for me.
I got, please share. I want to hear.
After Heron Fest, me and my husband, this was this was probably 2018. We went up to the local bar. It's the more popular one around here, but it's small.
Hmm.
And we're like, it's a nice night. Let's pop in, get a drink, play some pool, head home, you know. And first off, we were lucky it wasn't so packed that you were like crammed with your arms to your side. But we're in there and, we're just chilling. It's fun to people watch.
Hmm.
And there's this woman, I'll say she was maybe somewhere between like 30 at most, but she looked to be about mid 20s.
Hmm.
And this man that looked like he could have been her grandpa. And they were all over each other, like leaning against, dancing and making out. And I was like, I'm uncomfy.
Ew.
Like
That's a
I
whole
looked at
nother
that and
thing.
I just looked at that and I was like, I'm uncomfy. I am very uncomfy. And it's not like the polar opposites of the two. didn't help, but the fact of if I were seeing anyone doing that, I would be uncomfy.
Public display of affection is a completely different topic, but I know what you mean because I've had similar experiences, and I wasn't even at a bar. I was at the mall, of all places.
Ugh.
Yeah, but I remember like when I went with my dad, it was in it was like outside of Chicago, I think, where we went to a concert. That's the whole reason we were at the bar was to go to a concert that was being held there. I would never go to a bar just to go to a bar, mind you. For this reason. So there was a guy in a suit, like okay, there was like an old guy in a suit with like long hair and like this big ass mustache and stuff. And
Mhm.
he was standing too close to people, like giving me serious serial killer vibes.
I mean, if you're gonna die, it's probably gonna be at a bar.
He was trying to like take people's chairs and like just hovering near people he didn't know, like random strangers.
So what I'm
And
hearing is your only good bar experience was when we went to the drag show.
yes, absolutely. That was night and day difference. Like the one that I went to with my dad, there were so many creepy people like slinking around, like hovering next to people and trying to butt in their conversations and stuff. It was just awkward as hell.
But
Yeah.
so what I've gathered is the D.A.R.E program has basically failed our whole generation.
Pretty much, yeah. Like people just think of it as a joke now. It's like an inside joke with our generation. Cause I
I
kid you
just
not, like everybody I know smokes weed at least, which I know like the D.A.R.E program was all about like, oh, don't smoke weed because then you're gonna smoke crack and do heroin and everything else known to
if
man.
if you smoke weed even once, then you're gonna try meth and then you're gonna die.
Yes, because you go from marijuana to meth immediately. That was the
Uh,
vibe though. Like those of you who don't know, like that was how they treated this program.
it was literally like 50s and 70s sexual education, but for drugs.
Yeah, like don't do it or you're gonna
Or
get in trouble.
you're gonna die.
You're gonna die. Yeah.
You're gonna smoke the weed and die. Like I
Anyways,
said, I feel like for a program like that, they should have just educated people, like, to know about it and to, like, be aware.
they never
Because, like,
explained why, like you said.
yeah, like, they're just like, don't do it. It's bad. It's like, but why is it bad?
And not only
And,
that, but where would you even get it from is my other
and
question.
what if someone does offer it to me and I say no, but then you're just sitting there awkwardly?
Can we just
Like,
talk
what's the
about
follow up?
how certain they were that you were going to get offered in the first place?
Yeah, wow, thank you for thinking I go to parties and have friends, but
Like you
you're
need to be
overestimating
prepared.
my social life.
It was literally like you need to be prepared for this at all times because you're going to be offered drugs a lot in your life. Just that's a fact.
Like you're just at Hot Topic and someone comes up and goes, "Hey, you want the crack?"
What they failed to mention is that those drugs are expensive and nobody's just passing those out to kids.
No, they're not. Anyone who's watched Breaking Bad knows drugs are pricey and you don't just hand them out.
Yeah, like especially to a child.
Yeah, like what's the child gonna do? Go home and be like, "Mommy, Daddy, here's some crack for you. Here's the guy's contact info." Like that ain't gonna happen.
Look, mom, meth.
Well, in
Oh
my
my
town, that's
gosh.
a plausibility.
I mean, yeah. maybe maybe that's why they pushed it so hard in Illinois because they knew it was true.
I
but
can't fight that one.
but
But
you know that like where we grew up, like you were most likely to get it from a parent or a family member more than just random people on the street.
my brother, my youngest brother, not the paramedic, he would get into my this probably shouldn't say this, but before it was legal, he would get into my dad's stash, which
Hmm.
I didn't know my dad had any.
Of
I
meth?
was the no of pot,
Oh, that's fine.
and
It's legal now.
he
Who cares?
yeah,
Not in
but this
Texas,
was
but
before. Yeah,
yeah.
Texas is just stupid.
That's another topic for a different day. Anyway,
But I mean, like, just it it's not as bad as they made it out to be with pot, that is.
yeah.
Like, again, they should have just educated us
I
instead of
don't
screaming, "Don't do drugs."
I remember like how anti-weed Illinois was before it became legal. Like
And now we're all about it.
I mean it was like Texas levels of don't do this. It's so bad and you're going to go to jail and blah blah blah. My personal
Yeah,
opinion is that nobody should be jailed for possession or smokage of weed. Like there are
as long as you're.
far worse things.
Oh yeah,
Like meth.
exactly. They could have been doing something so much worse.
I just don't think people should be in jail for it. Like that's
Yeah, that's
stupid.
just stupid.
Like we need that space for people who actually deserve it.
Mhm. I could name a few different types of people, but I
Well,
won't.
and I was gonna say too, like growing up with that mentality, like y'all know that I grew up in like a super Christian household, so my parents were like, don't do any drug ever, you know, don't do alcohol and all this and yeah, that I mean, that's kind of faded with time, but just like man, how times have changed.
The times they are a changin'.
I mean, my sister like she smoked weed and her ex-boyfriend like he smoked cigarettes and like I casually drink but I don't you know I don't get drunk.
I
So,
I on the occasion have alcohol, and it's pretty rare, and usually if I'm hanging out with some friends, and yeah, usually if they're gonna stay the night here, then I might have an edible.
well I know where I was going with that. um I was I was trying to get around to the point of what I was trying to say. I took a substance abuse class in college and it really changed how I think about drug addiction, like, and how we police it here in the United States because, like, I think of substance abuse, as a mental disorder that, like, needs therapy and needs help, not necessarily just throw them in jail, that'll fix them, shame on you.
Yeah,
That's not going to help in the long term. And I feel really sad for people that have drug addictions because they don't feel like they can get out of it.
for the most part I do, but I have one person who's just on my shit list that I don't feel bad for.
Fair enough. I guess I just mean like in general.
Yeah,
Like,
in general, totally. Just for me, I have the one person on a shit list.
I wish that, and things are a little bit better in terms of like how people are treated with addictions, but it still needs a lot of work, like, because we're still just throwing people in jail without therapy and
Oh yeah.
stuff.
And then like they toss them in jail overnight and then they toss them back out. It's just like, all right, be good.
Yeah, it's like, I don't understand how that's supposed to help someone.
Yeah.
If you just wag your finger at them and tell them, no, no, no drugs for you. It's like you have to rewire their brain so that they don't want that. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. But anyway, don't do drugs, kids. That
Sorry I took so long.
was a
I
very
also had
long pee.
I also had to poop.
Oh, okay.
Well, I stood up and then it's like, oh.
You're like, oh wait, I'm not done yet.
No, I stood up from the couch after I asked you for a break and I was like, oh no.
Oh no. I forgot what we were talking about.
Uh, shit.
No, no, before the shit. What we're talking about before that. I don't remember, but I was thinking about more school things, like stupid school things, and
Kind of just transition it to that, I guess.
okay, this is our transition. I I didn't like myself back then. I was a very,
You
I don't know, cringy, weird ass child.
embrace the cringe.
So I have now, but back then I was like really self conscious about it.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of good if you were self-conscious about it because then you're like at least self-aware.
I had a
Ooh.
crush on my middle school science teacher for like 3 years.
Oh, what?
Yeah. I that was a part of my life that I don't tell people about much because I'm not proud of it.
And yet here
Um,
we are,
yeah,
telling the
here we
internet.
are transitioning. Okay, so that same school that I was talking about where we had like the big D.A.R.E graduation ceremony and stuff, it was at that same school. Um, I had a teacher that was my science teacher, and he was just, I mean, he was a nice guy. He wasn't like creepy or anything. Um, and he actually ended up going to the same church as me in Bloomington, like later on. Um, but when I was in his class, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I think it was just hormonal stuff. I had a massive crush on him though.
I mean, it's bound to happen to some people.
Yeah, I just really, I don't know. It was super, super awkward, and I couldn't understand like why I couldn't just let it go.
Eh,
And everybody knew about it. Like all my friends knew and they would make fun of me for it and stuff.
well, how rude of them.
Well, they used to say some like pretty fucked up things that I don't want to repeat, but
Oof.
yeah.
Something you can privately tell me when you want some other day.
Things that should not be said about a middle school girl and an adult man, and I'm just gonna leave it there.
Yeah, that I figured that's about where it was going.
Um, it it probably, if I remember right, like I had a crush on him for like I want to say like 3 years, so like sixth grade, seventh grade, and eighth grade. And then after I went to high school, we moved, so I wasn't in his class anymore, and it kind of faded by then because
You weren't around them.
I wasn't around, but I was also slightly more mature than middle school age. So, but That was a
My
weird
school,
town.
at my school, like, I never had a crush on any teachers, but me and a bunch of other people in, because, like, with special ed, like, there was, like, the homeroom,
Hmm.
and all of us had a lot of the same classes. So we all, like, would be like, oh, this teacher looks like this character. Like, there was a student teacher's aide,
Hmm.
or like it was one of those, like, they're finishing up school and they go like to work in the school for a bit. He looked like Dexter, like from Dexter's Lab.
I knew what
And
you
then we,
meant.
yeah. Well, some people might think I meant the
Yeah.
other
Breaking
Dexter.
Bad.
But and then there was one that looked like Yzma. The gym teacher looked like Buzz Lightyear.
I remember
Like,
this.
we just had a whole list.
There was this one teacher in high school for me. She was an English teacher, and she was super bitchy. Like, nobody liked her at all. And this one girl, she had some balls, okay? Like, I would never say this, but she goes, she didn't say it to her face, but like, she said it pretty loud that like most of the class heard. And she said that the teacher looked like an obese poodle. Because she had on like this pink sweater that had like a big turtleneck and stuff.
Oh my god, that reminds me of well, okay, she wasn't a teacher, but I don't know if your middle school had this, but you know, like when you would go out for lunch or when you were in the lunchroom, they had like the lunch aides.
Yeah, like people just
Basically,
stand around.
basically they just stood there and told you to shut up and told you not to run when you were
Yeah,
outside.
yeah.
Yeah, she had tat. She had her eyebrows tattooed on and like this, like that. When someone says like old lady blue eyeshadow, like it was that. Like
Yeah.
she constantly looked like she was in an angry shock face. Like she always looked mad.
Hmm.
Like she ate a bad lemon, but also she just looked like someone just surprised her. And no one liked her. We literally we would tell her to her face that she was a dinosaur.
Ugh, that reminds me of my PE teacher in middle school. I did not like her. I actually like I borderline gave her the finger one time. We were we were doing some kind of running activity in PE, which I'm chubby and I hate that. I hate running with a passion. And
I feel that.
she kept telling me that I needed to participate in the activity that we were doing. And I was just like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this.
See,
And
they would make us run a mile around the gym.
well, all I did was like, I told her that I didn't care and I didn't want to do what we were doing. And I basically sat on the floor and just didn't do anything. And she just gave me a detention. Like, she just told me to go to the office. So I was like, okay, fine. I'd rather do that than be in this class. Like, I used
Be
to get
more
detention.
interesting.
I used to get detention a lot, actually.
Really?
But not for the reasons you think. Like, I was a nice kid, like a good kid for the most part. Um, it was usually just like not wanting to do things would get me sent to the office, or sometimes, if you can, I'm sure you can believe this, but me defending myself against other people, I would go to the office.
Hmm.
Because I remember, like, I used to have kids in my class that would always be, like, messing with me and picking on me and stuff, like, either physically or just verbally. And I remember, like, this one time, I shouted at this one dude, like, in class to stop pulling on my hood on my sweatshirt. And the teacher made me go to the office for talking. I
I
was like,
remember stuff like that.
are you kidding me? Like, this butthole keeps messing with me and you're making me go to the office? Whatever. I had a
I
lot of stuff like
remember
that happen to me.
I would keep my phone on me, but I always kept it on silent and turned off.
Hmm.
Well, I forgot to turn off an alarm whenever we had gotten back from spring break, and it went off, and I got an ACR for it, even though never used my phone.
Yeah, I
And
think
I
I
even
got in
told
trouble.
them, and I told them, I'm like, I keep my phone on me in case of emergency. Because our school had a bomb threat, and I texted my mom so that she could sign me out whenever we got done with it.
Yeah, back then, kids, we had phones just for emergencies. You couldn't do anything else on it, really.
Yeah. Like, if you were lucky, you might have had like a game or two that was pre installed.
It was like one of those slidey phones. Mine was a flip phone. Like,
I had the kind where like you would turn it sideways where it was long ways and you slid it up and it had the full keyboard.
see, I had one of those too, but I my first phone was like a white flip phone, and then I think it was my aunt's or something. It was an old phone of hers, and then my mom got me, like you said, like the ones that slide with the keypad and stuff.
Mhm.
But it was like a cheap like track phone version. But yeah, I got in trouble for taking it out in the hallway once.
Lame.
They were like, "You're not supposed to have your phone." And I was like, "I'm just checking to see if my mom texted me." They were like, "Put it away."
Like, what's the big deal? Like, if anything, just have like a basket that we could put our phones in the class so we're not, texting and stuff, during class. Because heaven forbid, especially in the way that schools are now and the things happening, we need to get a hold of a parent or, worst case scenario, give our final goodbye.
I maybe only had like one friend that also had a phone. Like most of us didn't have phones when I was going to that school. Like I maybe had one or two other friends that had flip phones and slidey phones like mine. But
I
we
don't know
didn't
exactly how many had phones. Mine was mainly just I could call and text. That was it.
but that was the thing. Like we didn't really text each other like in class. We passed notes. We were still passing notes at that time.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, that'll make you feel old.
Yeah. Do you, is there anything like crazy you remember happening at school?
We had a few bomb threats a couple times at high school specifically.
So we
Um,
only had one when I was in high school.
I
And I
think
had a
they had.
teacher get in my face and yell at me because I was like, because we had like the little thing by the door. And it was like, oh, in case of fire drill, do this. In case of tornado, do this. And we had one for bomb threat. And I remember at the beginning of the year, I would always read those.
Hmm.
And I had looked at the teacher and I said, hey, is this a bomb threat? She got right in my face and was like, why? What do you know? Huh? Huh? Huh?
What do
What do
you
you
know?
know? And I was
That's funny. I
like,
mean, I'm sure it wasn't funny in the moment, but it sounds funny now.
and I just remember, like, because we weren't supposed to have our phones because we could detonate the bomb if we did.
Yeah, because it's gonna be a flip phone. That's how we
Oh,
detonate.
yeah, totally. I mean, like, iPhones existed, but they weren't, like, as common as they are now.
Yeah, I remember when the iPod came out, but that's a whole different conversation. Um,
I still have my iPods, but I remember these girls I went to school with, they gave each other piercings in the
oh
bathroom.
Lord, don't even get me started on that.
I've probably talked about it before here, but I just remember that. I was
Yeah,
just like,
kids
you're stupid.
kids used to do that a lot back then.
And that's the thing now, like like they know more now and they're more educated to know like to go to a piercing shop with their parent writing permission
For the
to go
most
get it.
part, there are still stupid people out there, but
Well, there are, but there's better education out there. But we had where if you didn't go to Claire's, you were getting your piercings done in the school bathroom, or in my case, in my kitchen using a potato.
Hmm. I gotta tell you about the bomb threat at my school.
Please, please do.
Okay, so the whole reason why they suspected that there was a bomb threat was because they found something written on a bathroom stall, first
Same
off.
at mine.
Um,
So,
but it was funny how they announced it because they didn't want to like alarm the parents or anything, but they basically made it an optional school day. So they said like you can come in if you want, if you don't, that's fine, like we won't count it against you.
oh, see, we were already at school for mine, and uh, it was discovered like during homeroom period, which mine there was literally only 4 people in that class,
Mhm.
and one of them was absent, so there was only 3 of us and the teacher, and we didn't do shit in there. So, and we were in the old part of the school, so we're off by ourselves. And there comes, I can't remember if there was an announcement or if they like, I think they like did an announcement like, oh, we're going to have a drill. And even the teacher's first thought was, oh, we're having a fire drill. Because we had the occasional ones where they didn't set off the alarm,
Mhm.
you know. And so we head down, and it's starting to rain a little, and we're like, oh, we should be heading back in soon. They're like, go over to the other school, because we had like another school like a few blocks away.
Mhm.
That because it used to be one of the old, I want to say middle or high schools, and we're like, we're all looking at each other like this is weird, and that's when it clicked for me. I was like, this is a bomb threat,
Mm-mm.
and I even looked at the teacher. I'm like, we're under a bomb threat. She's like, yeah, I think you're right.
Well, and I was just like, are you guys really gonna believe something written on a bathroom stall? Like,
Yeah, but then again, the one time they don't, you know.
I guess.
But
This
the
this one
girl,
was like clearly a joke though, because somebody scribbled like a penis below it and stuff.
well, this was like the first bomb threat my school had had, so they took it way too serious, which I mean, that's good, but also I just remember being like, this is stupid. Because we
They
sat
would
at that school for like 2 hours.
they wouldn't even call it a bomb threat. They kind of just like said it was like a potential hazard or something like that. Because they didn't want to like freak out the parents or anything.
Well,
So.
see, my mom worked at the high school at the time. She was one of the cooks. They didn't have her evacuate the school. She was still there.
Oh, that sucks.
It's like, everyone get out. Cooks go
Except
to the door.
you.
No, 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 no. You stay.
Except the employees.
I mean, probably they had them step outside, but it's like they weren't sent over to the other schools. So, like, if something did blow up, they were
Right?
within explosion range.
That's so sad. Anyways, we're kind of reaching our hour mark here. Man, this brought back some weird memories for me.
It did.
If any of you have suggestions for podcast episodes, I now have a public Google Doc thingy that you can add your ideas to. I'll link it in the description box down below. Just, it has to be okay for YouTube. That's really the only thing that I ask, is like nothing super controversial or, you know,
No politics.
no politics. I know sometimes we've talked about politics on my channel, very rarely, but like I like to stay
Whatever
out of that.
whatever is mentioned is never mentioned enough to cause trouble.
Yeah, just keep it, light and friendly if you can. Um, but yeah, thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.